Julian, great to see you, my friend. I mean, we talked during the Junos. Congratulations on your nominations. Congratulations on the success of the album. And even truly, congratulations on the solo career, man. How has it been for you being a solo artist and being able to do the things that you're doing and really making a mark the way you do it? And what I mean is you don't follow trends, man. You do what's in your heart and you create great music.
Thanks. I'm really feeling in a good place to be able to do that. That's what I always wanted to do. And obviously, my solo career is a more folk-oriented sort of sound. The Julian Taylor Band is more of a rhythm and blues sound, and it's been really cool. I mean, the 20th anniversary of Staggered Crossing just came out, and that's a rock sound. And I'm really happy to be able, like, when people ask me, they say, "What do you play?" I said, "Well, I'm folk, country, rock, and rhythm and blues."
There you go, man. And you just mentioned about what we're going to be talking about. We're celebrating that anniversary. That's how we met, man, 20 years ago.
Yeah, can you
Uh,
believe it?
no, I don't, because it just flew. And as I said to you before, when we were talking after our first interview, we were talking during the Junos. I have the picture of us all together.
You do?
I do have it. I got to go through the collection to find it, but I know I have a photo
I would
of
love to
us.
see that.
I'm gonna go through it over the weekend, man, and try to see if I can get it so that when we do this, when I do post this interview, I'll be able to put that over in the the beginning of the interview. So,
That's so
but
cool.
20 years ago, man, when you think about that with the band, and you like, does it give you chills, man, knowing that 20 years ago, a group again made such an impact on the Canadian music scene, and in a lot of ways, it still continues when you see emerging artists, indie artists, or even artists out there who, again, never follow a sound; they create their own sound.
I'm really proud of it. I've had a lot of you know, young black musicians like in the rock field come up and say, thank you to me, which I didn't at the time. I didn't really look at it that way. But I guess myself, Wild T, maybe the Reggae Cowboys would have been like the only black folk on the block doing something that wasn't hip hop or R&B or and so that kind of visibility is really important.
Why? Let me put you that way. Why did you guys follow that path? And let's even go even a little bit further. How did the band get together? Let's remind folks.
Oh, sure. I mean, well, it's a story as old as time. We were high school friends and we got together. I was writing a lot of songs at the time, and we were a garage band. We rehearsed in the basements of our parents' houses and garages of our parents. And I remember the first EP like tape that we released. We had like this massive party in my parents' backyard, and we got a keg of beer and put it into the garage, and you got like a red Solo cup and a tape when you paid the admission to come in and listen to the music. It was pretty funny. We had like huge speakers. Back in the day, the speakers that you would get to for a PA, they were massive. It'd take two people to carry them. Now they're like
Yeah.
little Bose speakers, but back then, two bandmates had to lift them up on the stilts, and we played that tape, and it was pretty funny. It was pretty cool.
Oh man, I miss those days. Even though, yeah, those things are big, and you could only get so many in the car because you need a second one or
Yeah,
two
exactly.
trips and whatever else. But man, they were fun. But why did you guys? Why that sound? Why the rock sound? Because you are right. I mean, back then, it was almost like you're black and you rock. No, you don't listen to rock. You're supposed to listen to funk. You're supposed to listen to R&B.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
supposed to listen to soul. What are you doing? Listen, no, 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 man. You're not supposed to do. Literally, I remember people saying you're not supposed to do that. Kind of thing.
They would say that to you?
They would say that to me because I like to listen to everything, so it never mattered to me. But
Yeah, that's the
why?
thing. I and I listen to everything and always have too. And
Mm-hmm.
I hated that sort of stereotype where people would say that to me too. They'd be like, "Well, why are you listening to classical music and why are you listening to rock and roll? Like you're supposed to listen to hip hop and R&B." I'm like, "Well, I can listen to whatever I want to." And that gave me the idea to be like, I can play whatever I want to. Like I basically got the idea from people's negative um, you know, ideologies and what they were reflecting on me. That's how I got the idea to always do the opposite of what they were telling me to do.
That's exactly it. That's me. If somebody tries to put me in a box, I've always been like, no, 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 no. The fact that you're going to try to put me in a box makes me want to go and do something else. I'm just curious.
Totally.
If when you would go to a show, or you guys would go to a show, were some people like actually even surprised, going, wait, 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 that's a black man. What's going on here?
All the time. Like all the time. And that still happens. I mean, I'm curious just to see what happens when I go on the road and do some shows now that things are opening up. Like, all the time, Rudy. It was so infuriating. Like, to be told what you are is like the most infuriating thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know the experience of anybody else other than the experience that I've had as a Black Indigenous person. But I've been told what I am all the time. Like, even to the degree of like having the Indigenous name change all throughout the years. Like, first it was Indian, then it was Native, and then it was Indigenous. It's like we're told all the time what we are by the outside world, and it just doesn't make sense. So I mean, my mom's hilarious. She's a lot older, and she's like, I don't know what to be called, so I'm just a Black Indian.
No, brother, I hear you loud and clear. Same experience, man. Absolutely same experience. I'm curious, how did you guys get signed? Because like I said, there was a reason why you came to my radio station and we did our interview together. How did that all come together?
Also, a story as old as time. Like, we had that tape, and when we had that release party in my parents' backyard, one of the girls that we went to high school with, her father worked in the music industry, and his name was Frank Davies. He was the president of the music publisher, TMP at the time, which was at Alliance Atlantis, and biggest independent music publisher in Canada. And he got the tape, and he loved it, and sort of followed us around. We did like little shows at open stages and things like that, and boom, he was in love with it and wanted to sign us, and so signed me. And then I was like, well, you got to sign the other guys too, and he did, and said that within a year he'd get us a record deal, and guess what? He did. He lived up to his promise.
So here you go. The album comes out, self-titled. What was it like for you, man? Because again, here you are. You're going, like, you came to my radio station. We did interviews. You were going around. I do believe much music was still in full effect back then, the way, we grew up with it. So you're heading over there. You're going across Canada, promotions. You're hearing the music on the radio. What was that like, man? Going from your backyard, garage, to this?
0 to 60, man. And we really had thought that we had hit the golden nugget, that we had made it, that it was this way. The trajectory was going to go all the way up, and we were going to go top of the pops, and that didn't happen. We had a huge influx of popularity right when the record came out, and after that it sort of fizzled out a little bit. I sort of harken back to the time and think, oh, maybe it had a lot to do with the evasiveness of Napster at the time.
I was just going to bring that up to you. Yeah.
Full tilt. As soon as we released that record, that illegal music service, sharing service, was in full tilt. Crazy. Literally weeks after, it was like, boom.
But you weren't just dealing with Napster. You were also dealing with, too, the fact that small record companies were being bought up by bigger record companies. Mm-hmm. And I remember a lot of artists, and I don't know if it would happen with you guys, a lot of artists were getting lost in the shuffle. And even with projects and albums that were supposed to come out ended up being put on hold, and to this day are still on hold. Yeah. Did you guys have sort of like that problem?
Similar. It didn't happen with our record per se. It happened with our publishing, though. Because TMP was bought out. At the time there was this huge idea where I think in Canada, maybe 5 like independent companies created one massive company called the Song Corporation. I don't know if you remember back then, the Song Corporation.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was and TMP was in that deal, and then that company went bankrupt, and everybody's stuff got lost in the shuffle. We actually ended up going to court and fighting it with a lawyer named Peter Steinmetz. And Peter and his team, I mean, we employed them, but their argument was that the catalog that was not published or put out into public, like writings and works, like should revert to the artist. And in old bankruptcy law, that was the case. So anything that was never publicized was an asset to the bankrupt company. But we fought with Peter to change that. So, and one of my proudest moments actually is when that verdict came down and it changed the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Within bankruptcy law, now it states that any publicized, non-publicized work reverts back to the curator, the artist.
That's great, man. Thank you for doing that. Wow. Changing history. But part of history, too, is you did become a solo artist. What happened to the band?
Well, the band is still around. Jeremy is always in the fold. He plays in the Julian Taylor band, and he also works at PSI, which is like a sound and audio visual company that provides sound for festivals and companies and events and stuff like that. He lives in St. Catharines. Daryl, the keyboard player, he is a few blocks away from me here in the East End. He still plays and stuff. I see him once in a while. He became a dog walker of all things. So he's you'll see him like walking like 10 dogs. I'm like, wow, okay. From keyboards to dog walking, why not? Dave Marshall, guitars. He moved to Montreal. He's got a little business there. He's part of the Urban Planning Association out there in Montreal. And Dan, the bass player, is in construction management. Unfortunately, we lost our good friend Bruce.
Yes.
In 2005, and so he's just with us in spirit.
Part of that spirit is the anniversary album, the original album coming out, but there's a little twist to it because you guys have a new single with this.
Yeah, we recorded a tune that I had written that had never gotten recorded way back in the day, and thought, you know what, let's honor our friend and all get together. It was I believe April, because the restrictions came down and we were able to hang out and do this in the studio. It was a lot of fun. We turned it up. I mean, I literally have been sitting in my house with an acoustic guitar for way too long. So I was like, as soon as I got an electric guitar in my hand, I just turned up the amp to 11. Like,
what's the single called and what's the single about, man?
Boyfriend, Girlfriend. It's a song about identity. And back in the day, I grappled with sexuality and what I wanted to be. In high school, that was kind of a tricky thing. I'm a heterosexual man, and I decided that back in high school. But at the time, I experimented and wanted to, and some people were not thrilled about that. And one more thing to be told what I am, it's like, oh my God. But anyway. Some people responded in kind, some didn't, and it was my decision and my thing to discover within myself on my own, right? Like nobody's business, and that's sort of what the song's about. At the same time, it's about love and yearning. And funny enough, I thought that it really worked with the times because we released it, and the chorus is, "What the hell are you doing at home? Come on over." It's like the quarantine gets lifted and all of a sudden we come out with that. It's almost as if we planned it, but it wasn't planned at all.
When the hell are you going to write a book on your life? Like, man, there are so many stories that you have. And even though you tell it through your music, I would still love to hear you literally, like you do right now, talk about the things that you've been through and, growing up and just the way your life has been. Like it's a book just waiting to be written.
Wow, I never looked at it that way, but okay. Maybe.
I hope I planted something for you, man.
Okay. There you go. It's a seed. It's growing.
Something else that's growing too, you mentioned we are slowly starting to open things up, and you kind of mentioned about performances. What's going on with live performances, either with yourself or maybe with the original band members? What's going on with that?
Well, it'll be me solo for a lot of the stuff, because I've got to go out and I really want to play the Ridge. I also am about to hop into the studio and record the follow up to the Ridge, another solo record.
Nice.
And that should be interesting. I'm very nervous about that because I don't know. The Ridge, you know, long listed for a Polaris Prize, 2 Juno nods, and now what do I do next? But you know what? The reality is that I just go and do what I want to next. Nothing else really actually matters.
Doesn't, because nobody puts you in a box, my friend, and that's why your successes come through, because you can feel it. The soul is there, the love is there, the experience is there, and you're sharing it with all of us, and that's what we need, especially these days, the way the world has changed. So, man, a big thank you for your spirit and your music. Gonna wrap this up, my friend. Thank you so much for the interview. Thank you so much. As I said earlier, and I don't know if I said it on camera or not. Thank you for the album that you sent me. Really, really appreciate it. Signed. And like I said, man, just thank you for the interviews. Thank you for all of this. And really hoping that at some point in the future, man, we can do this in person.
Absolutely. I'd love to see you, man. I would love to see you.
Thank you again.
I miss hugs, man. That's what I want to do most.
There you go. And believe me, man, I'm going to crack your rib. I'm going back to the gym next week. So when I do see you, I'm cracking a rib.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Rudy. I really appreciate the kind words, your time, and your love.